Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're watching. Today, I want to talk about 3 ways to overcome fear of judgment. I don't know about you, but usually fear of judgment stops a lot of people from taking risks. I want to make this call really quickly. There's 3 things that happens that actually stops us from taking a lot of risks, going out there, feeling accepted, feeling confidence is judgment. Why do we actually judge? I think it's consistently thinking of other people's opinion, because if you're thinking other people is judging you, then you will judge them, right? So constantly thinking of other people's opinion. You also have an internal parent, which I call the critical parent, the person inside of you that criticizes you. And it may be from an old parent, maybe not being perfect enough, maybe having a standard in a family that you had to keep moving forward, and you didn't feel good enough. So there was this constant fear of judgment, right? That I'm going to be judged or judged by other people. Like for myself, I came from a well-to-do family, and we lived in an area where there was people that weren't doing as well. So I always constantly felt maybe I'm being judged. So I constantly had this fear of people's opinion, and also had a critical parent as well, alive critical parents that kept me going. And then also what triggers a judgment is competition, constantly competing with others, and you have to put somebody down so you could be lifted up. And what those 3 things does, the constantly thinking of what other people think, it robs you of your confidence, literally strips you away from your confidence. And the critical parent has definitely stolen real estate in your mind. So it has basically a real estate parent that's critical, constantly in your head, rent-free, not paying any rent, right? And a lot of time also judgment comes from resentment. We're resenting ourselves. We're resenting other people. When you resent, it's easy to judge. It's so easy to judge people. And there's a difference between judgment and discernment. Like when you're discerning, because you need to judge whether the person is good or bad. But I'm talking about this negative, resentful judgment of people, of places, of ideas, of other people's ideas. So those are some of the things that I found myself having to deal with, and I've seen a lot of my clients having to deal with as well, okay? And what also it causes us to do is boast, talk about our accomplishment with no reason. Most people that talk about their accomplishment all the time, I'm not saying not to talk about your accomplishment, they're basically insecure. So insecure, but people judging them that they're not enough. So they have to talk about it. So all of those are triggers that produces judgment and that fear that comes with it. So 3 things that you can do that could help you. Number 1, reserve the emotional judgment. So before you judge somebody, reserve it. Find out the truth. Because we have a story in our head, and even when we are talking, we're not listening if we're judging. So you got to pause and kind of catch that thought and says, wait, let me remove those emotional judgment before I find out the facts. So what is going on here? And the second thing is also replacing your critical parent with a loving parent. So Miki, how do you do that? Well, it's encouragement. Become an encourager versus a critical person. And also forgive some of your last failures, the last judgment. I have a constantly habit of forgiving myself for things that I do. And if I failed, okay, at something, or I made the wrong decision, being in constant forgiveness. So that will help you to not have harsh judgment of yourself and harsh judgment of others. And last thing, instead of being so competitive with other people, become creative. Don't just compete, become creative. If you're creative, then that's you. There's nobody else like you. You don't need to judge other people, compete with other people. Just be you, be 100% you. There are some things that you wanted to do all your life that you stopped yourself from doing, and you're judging yourself from doing that. And now we're critical with other people. But if you are able to kind of get yourself to a point where you're creative and you work with that creativity, you'll be amazed. You'll be too much time being creative and being on your own lane that you won't have time to judge other people. All right, so that's what I want to talk to you about. All right, with that, I want to thank you for being a part of this group. Please comment. I do read all the comments. If you want to really talk about getting serious about being whole, being of integrity, and finding really true your authentic self and really creating the relationship you want, go ahead and put me under the comment, and then I will reach out to you and we could have a talk on that subject. Okay? Thank you so much for watching.